Next thing we're going to work on is I'm going to set him up in my my martingale rig to help him learn to find collection and lift his back and flex his neck and jaw. And this that I've got here is just an accumulation of a lot of years of trying about 100 different ways of doing it. And this is kind of how I've just ended up. It works real good for me and I like it. It's humane for the horses. It's not just tying their head down. And when you put them in regular side reins that are solid and rigid, it doesn't allow them to have lateral flexion. So how I rig this up is just a very nice, soft, casual way to do it. And as you'll see here quickly, it works really well, okay? So first order of business is he's got the bridle, and he's got to really bridle nicely, okay? So as we remember in my earlier videos here, I got this all worked out first thing this morning, okay? So I would be really foolish looking if I was working that out right now, okay? So that's why this morning when we started early, I resolved this problem. And I got him to where he'll drop his head. And then I take my bridle and I kind of trap his nose, and I stand on the rope. He can't bobble and dribble around. And I ask him, geez, that's pretty good, buddy. Of course, you know that's when your phone's going to ring, isn't it? But to me, bridling a horse is kind of a ritual, and I want it just like that. That's just perfect. And that tells me a lot about a horse. It tells me a lot where he came from, the people that had him. Seeing that organize his hair, his forelock, and I make this a pleasant experience. I don't hit his teeth with the bit, and I close his throat latch. But I keep my little string holder on underneath my bridles as I'm schooling my horses, because that's just the way it needs to be. I want to be able to control him, and see, he's now responding to pressure on his nose from this holder very nicely. So when we now put him in our rigging, this rope is going to simulate this holder right here. So it'll put pressure on his nose before it does his mouth. So when I signal him, it signals here before his mouth. So I want to transition him from the holder to the bridle, but I want to work off his nose primarily and very, very minor his mouth. Well, then the day will come where we won't have this on the bridle, and you can put your regular riding bridle on, and then he'll be soft, because I don't want to condition his neck and poll with my hands and reins with just pressure in his mouth. Because that's where everything gets really difficult for a horse. I want him to be so soft. Okay. So see how our friend is ground tying so nice for us? Because he finally figured out that fidgeting around doesn't pay off, so we'll stand still, I guess. All right. So I'm going to hook this rope right here to this ring. And this is just cord like you buy at the hardware store, no big deal. And I'm going to come through the bit. I'm going to go underneath to the ring under his girth, which you want it underneath the slide. You want that to be a ring. And then I'm going to draw this up, come back through the bit like this. Now, I've got other videos I've done on this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time explaining how to rig this up. You can look up some other videos, because we got a lot of ground to cover here today. So I want to set his head where his vertical is straight up and down, and he's going to flex that neck and jaw already. See there? He's flexing his neck and jaw already. And then I'm going to tie that off with a slip knot where if you get in trouble, I could just reach over here and grab that string and unhook him, okay? So make sure that you tie that string with a slip knot, okay? So we're going to be real careful here at first because some horses pull against that like there's no tomorrow, okay? But our boy's doing real good right here, see? Because we did our homework. Look at that. Come on. So there's no sense getting in a hurry here. Let's just let him find his own release. And see, his neck muscles are all developed for something else. He's designed and been ridden to have your head up in the air and your nose stuck straight out. So now we're going to redevelop all that. So all that muscle across the top of his neck, it's on the bottom, all has to be now redefined and reconditioned. So, you know, give the old boy some sympathy. Let's get this all worked out where he doesn't have to be carrying an extra 200 pounds or 175 pounds to do it, okay? So at first, what I'm going to do, is this similar how you've rigged them, like this?
How what?
How you rig it, is it similar?
Yeah, and then I've used, I don't know if you've seen the Pessoa training system. Basically, it's like that, but like, so instead of the cord being tied to the saddle, it continues to the strap on the hind end.
Oh yeah, okay.
And which actually I've only done that once with him, and he didn't like it the first time.
Yeah, I bet not.
We did a lot of bucking.
So what we're going to do is just ask him now to march. And we're going to work on transitions. We're going to walk, stop. And I'm going to get him to where I can control him with just my wand here. The movement of my wand will control him. Well, we're going to get up to canter transitions here in a minute, but if we can't transition from a walk to a stop, we're not going to try canters yet, okay? I might have that a little too tight, but right now I'm just trying to, I'll adjust it and maybe loosen it a little bit here in a minute, but I think everything's going to slide forward once we start trotting. So, say he's behind the vertical right now, and that's not what I want. When I say behind the vertical, his nose is back too far. But by golly, I'm right proud of him. He's above average when it comes to this type of thing. He's doing good. Okay, now I'm going to ask him for a trot. Come on, Junior. Look at that. All right. Good job. I'm going to ask him for a walk. Good job. I'm going to loosen it just a little bit.